Hi, everyone. I am l.keeler with Golden Gate Sotheby's International Realty in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Hi, I am Liz Proctor, a mortgage broker with Easy Home Loans, also in the Bay Area and actually the entire state of California. We're very thrilled that you're with us here today. We know you're taking valuable time out of your schedule to learn more about buying a home in the Bay Area. So whether you are a first-time home buyer or you're looking to make your second home purchase in the Bay Area, whether you're just starting to think about the process or you're getting close to pulling the trigger, we hope that you will get some valuable information. The home buying process can be somewhat involved and complex, and there's some unique things about buying a home in the Bay Area that we wanted to make sure you knew about. We also know there's a lot of information that we can't cover. We're going to be about 45 minutes to an hour. So we anticipate you're probably going to have questions. So we're going to encourage you to set up a time to have a complimentary consultation with us. We actually have a way to schedule with us at the end of the presentation. No obligation to you at all, just to answer your questions that you may have as a result of what we covered today. So thank you, and we will get started.
All right. Thank you, Liz. Okay, so here's the agenda for tonight. We want to discuss how buying in the Bay Area can help you build wealth over time. So here's the main areas we want to focus on. Real estate as an investment. What are the pros and cons of purchasing real estate versus the stock market? How can real estate be leveraged to build wealth over time? What is the state of the current housing market? How do you gain a competitive advantage or find negotiation power with some of these sellers out here? What is the state of the mortgage industry? Next, how to find and purchase your first home. So what are the steps to buying, and what are some of the unique challenges that are associated with buying in the Bay Area specifically? And finally, obtaining a mortgage. So how do we get you qualified for a mortgage? What are the different loan types? And most importantly, how can we save you money? All right, I want to just discuss a little bit the importance of taking that first step and hiring a real estate advisor to help you through this process. You're definitely going to need their guidance and expertise. And here's some of the reasons why. So the first thing I want to make sure buyers understand is that the seller is actually responsible for the commission on both sides of the transaction. So if I'm representing you as the buyer, my services are essentially free to you until we ratify under contract on your dream home, close escrow, and then the seller compensates me at that time. Now, this is important to consider the fact that this could be one of the biggest purchases of your lifetime. So it's important to think about how you can build a trustworthy team around these critical assets of yours. One thing I want to emphasize is that in the Bay Area, we receive inspection reports up front regarding the property. Any deferred maintenance or budgeting for repairs are going to be included inside of those inspection reports. So those are things I'm very experienced analyzing, and I can also offer local vendor recommendations as well. One of the most important components here is that you stay local. You find an expert that is well known in your desired zip code and knows everything from the school district to weather patterns, commute options. And this is unlike discount brokerages such as Redfin, where you might be getting a different person every time you contact them. And a lot of times they're out of area. They may not work in real estate full time, which leads me to my next point, leveraging relationships for negotiation power. So choosing the realtor that keeps their finger on the pulse with the housing market and builds those relationships with other real estate professionals in the area. You want to have that opportunity to leverage as well. And finally, I want to address what is the definition of a dual agency. So some people go into open houses on the weekends and they meet the listing agent, and maybe they are open to representing both sides of the transaction. This is called a dual agency, and I would recommend against it simply because the seller is responsible for both commissions. So really, why not have your own representation, someone who's in your corner and offering their due diligence? So how can one agent be representing both parties? It's almost a conflict of interest at that point. So I would highly discourage against that.
And some states don't even allow it.
Yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
at our brokerage, we discourage that as well. I slid us over here so you can take a look. I wanted to do a formal introduction. Again, I'm l.keeler. Here's my contact information. I specialize from San Francisco down to Redwood City, which includes San Francisco proper, where I live, and also San Mateo County. I float between all the offices that you see labeled here. We are a luxury brand brokerage, but we do work with buyers and sellers of all price points. And we're very well known. We have 23 offices in the Bay Area. So this has been another opportunity for me to get my offer accepted when they know I come from a prestigious brokerage. And one thing I wanted to mention is that I do donate 1% of my commission to a local nonprofit in the area. I have a few that I love. I'm also open to recommendations if the buyer has one in particular that they like as well. All right, I'll leave it to you, Liz.
Hi, I'm Liz Proctor. I am a mortgage broker, and you will learn a little bit more about what that means as we go through and identify the different types of lenders we have. But so I work with a multitude of lenders. I actually am basically, I get in the boat with my clients and I help them figure out their best, most efficient path to success in the home buying process. So I actually will shop out their loans to multiple lenders, and then I get their lenders to compete for their business. So you'll learn a little bit more about the types of loans that are available to our borrowers, but we can help anybody who's going into a conventional loan kind of process, or who needs one of the higher loan levels like jumbo loans or self-employed, things like that. So yeah, that is me.
All right. So I guess we'll start off by addressing why buy a home. Go ahead, Liz.
Okay, thanks. So we decided to really include this information in our presentation because we think it's more relevant now than it ever has been. When interest rates were low, and it's no secret now that interest rates are up, making, borrowing for a mortgage more expensive than it used to be. But you need to know it's like still a great investment for you and your future and the future of your family. It's one of the best ways to build wealth. Historically, it's been proven to be a little less risky than stocks. We're going to talk about all that. But you build equity with real estate. And there are two ways we build equity. We're going to go over that. Generally, homes tend to appreciate. Try not to listen to the naysayers who are going to tell you the housing market is going to crash. Historically, it has appreciated 4 to 5% year over year. When there's been corrections, they've been fairly short-lived, and they've been small, a lot smaller than a lot of corrections that have happened in the stock market. Let me put it that way, or on a given particular stock. So there are tax benefits, and real estate, buying a home is legacy building. It's something you can have to give to your heirs down the road. So yeah, for all those reasons, this is why you want to buy a home and why you want to consider making it a priority in your life.
Absolutely.
I put this together without getting into, we're going to go into the details of everything on the left side of the screen. Focus on the right. The basic synopsis of this is that we take a $50,000 pot of money, and the graph on the green bar is where we've actually invested this in a home as a down payment on a home. And this is what that down payment appreciated to over a 30-year period, $1.748 million. That same 50,000 on the right side of the screen, the black bar, was invested in the stock market. And we made some assumptions, and I'll go through those in a little bit later, but you can see the stark difference between the return on investment, putting the $50,000 towards investing in stocks versus $50,000 towards investing in real estate. So go ahead.
There you go.
Okay, thanks. Um, so let's talk about the difference between investing in stocks and investing in real estate. So I just wanted to put out the pros and cons. There are pros and cons to both. And people love investing in stocks. I like investing in stocks. If I find the right thing, I'm gonna, I see it as a kind of a risky thing. I gotta be ready to kind of lose it all, so to speak. But the pros for investing in stocks, we can easily diversify our investment. You can take a pot of money, that $50,000, and throw it in 1,000 different directions. Um, it's easy to diversify. And generally, when you diversify your investments, you're reducing the risk level. You can invest in the stock market generally with smaller sums of money than in real estate. And the longer term rates of return can rival real estate over the long term. Short term, not so much. Cons, due to market fluctuations, there's a higher degree of risk with stocks, and that's primarily because there are changes in the economic situation. Geopolitical events can affect the stock market, and also individual corporate performance. So when a business is not managed well, that can come to light and cause the stock to lose a lot of its value. So it's risky. Rates of return investing in the stock market aren't necessarily guaranteed, and there are tax implications on the income that you earn through things like dividends, interest income, and then on the capital gains when you sell your stocks. Then in real estate, the pros and cons of investing in real estate. So the pros, real estate can generate passive income. What does that mean? Well, if I buy a property and I don't live in that property, I use it as an investment, and I rent that property, I can generate positive cash flow. Another big con with real estate is that there are significant tax advantages towards owning a property. We have the mortgage interest deduction, there are property tax deductions, and also exclusions on capital gains when I choose to sell that property, whether it's my primary residence or an investment purchase. Real estate helps us hedge against inflation. And we have the ability to leverage, and you're going to see that in a minute, leverage our purchase to amplify our potential returns down the road. The cons of investing in real estate, it's more work than buying stocks. It generally, takes more work on the research and to identify the proper property, and to, figure out if, it's in the right, if it's your primary residence, is it going to suit my family's needs? Those kind of things. Am I going to enjoy living there? If it's an investment, what does my rate of return look like? What kind of rents can I count on? What are my expenses? Real estate also tends to be more expensive per transaction. It's a larger upfront investment. It's not as easy to liquidate that investment as well. With stocks, it's easy with a couple of keystrokes or on our phone, we can sell our stock. You can't necessarily do that with a piece of real estate. There are higher transaction costs associated with buying real estate and selling. And appreciation, of course, is never guaranteed. History has borne out that it has appreciated 4.5% to 5%, but it's not a guarantee. Excuse me, go ahead. So, can you hit pause? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Do I do stop? Wait.
Just hit pause.
Okay.
Or we
On the recording, you mean?
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's do a comparison. Okay. So here I have a $50,000 pot of money, and I'm going to, on the left side of the screen, I'm going to use that to put as a down payment on the house. The house price is $500,000. I'm putting 10% down, $50,000. I signed for a mortgage, and they're going to charge me 6% annual interest rate. My purchase is set to appreciate, we're going to assume is going to appreciate over 30 years, 4.5% annually, which has been the historic trend. And then 30 years later, that investment is now worth $1.285 million. Okay. So the stock market, let's say I take that $50,000 and I decide I want to put it into the stock market instead. Let's assume that the annual rate of return on my investment in stocks is 4.5%, same as the appreciation on the home purchase. 30 years later, my $50,000 has turned into $137,000. So there's a huge difference there. Even if, let's say my rate of return in the stock market is really healthy and it's 8%. Even at 8%, my stock market investment has only appreciated to $574,000. So there's a huge difference, and you'll understand that difference in the next couple of screens and how we got there. And it's called equity, but we'll get to that in a second. Okay, let's talk about leverage. So what is leverage? Leverage is using borrowed funds to buy an investment. We're going to put a small amount of money down and finance the remainder of the purchase. So like when we buy a house, we put it down a down payment. When we buy stock, we can't necessarily put down a down payment. We're going to pay full price for the shares that we're buying. What happens with leverage is that it can amplify both our gains and our losses. But what that really means in an appreciating housing market, when the value of the investment appreciates, we get the full value of the appreciation on the whole investment. So if I put $50,000 down on a $500,000 house, I'm getting the benefit of the appreciation on the $500,000, not just on the $50,000, which is a huge benefit in using leverage and buying in real estate and financing real estate. So an example here is, let's say I'm going to buy $1 million property. I'm going to put 20% down. So for only $200,000 out of my pocket, I now own this $1 million asset and benefit from the appreciation of that asset over time. Let's talk about equity. Equity is, oh, can you go back one screen?
Yeah.
Is the difference between what you owe on the property and the value of the home at any point in time, okay? Equity increases, so every time, let's say you have a mortgage, every mortgage payment that you make, if you're in a fixed rate, fixed term rate mortgage, every payment you make has a portion of equity and a portion of interest. So every time you make that payment, you're paying down the equity. You own a little bit more and a little bit more of that asset. So as time goes on, that spread of equity increases, even if the house doesn't appreciate. But when the house also appreciates in value and you're paying down that mortgage, that's where the beauty of this equity growth can take over and help you build wealth quickly in real estate. And that's how that asset can go from being a $500,000 initial purchase to being worth $1.2 million 30 years down the road, when you factor in both paying the mortgage and also the average appreciation of that asset over time. Then we can use the equity to make down payments on future purchases, which is the next slide. So let's take this example. I like simple math. That's why I stuck with the $500,000 home price with a $50,000 down payment, 10% down, an interest rate of 6% and a 30-year term. So property A on the left-hand side of the screen. In year one, my first, when I sign that mortgage note, I have $50,000 worth of equity on that house immediately, instantly, okay? And then by year 10, what is going to happen, I'm going to factor in the pay down of the mortgage plus the appreciation. So let's say the remaining mortgage balance is the appreciation, which the house has appreciated to $731,000 minus what I still owe on the mortgage, $382,000, gives me a healthy equity growth in just 10 years of $348,000. So I turned my $50,000 investment to $348,000 in 10 years. Now, what I can do from here is I can take that equity, I can cash it out of that home. I can refinance as a cash out, or I can take a HELOC. I can use the equity, leverage that, take that money out, and then apply that to make further real estate investment purchases. So in this example, I said, okay, year 10, I'm going to take $200,000 of my equity. The equity was $348,000. And I'm going to put $50,000 down on 4 additional properties. So now I've leveraged my one purchase to 4 additional purchases in just 10 years. Some people do this every 1 or 2 years. Some people just keep leveraging their real estate purchases. They see the power behind this and they go through this very quickly. So that's how you can leverage your real estate, your equity in your real estate into wealth very quickly over time.
Okay, well, we're flashing through quickly, but basically we want to discuss the state of the housing market with you all. So here is a friendly little chart, just to show you the overall incline over long term here from 2001 to 2022. You'll see that little blip underneath 2008. Everybody knows about that recession. Um, that was a difference. The difference was it was related to the lending and funding side. The regulations and qualifications are much higher and rigid now. So we don't foresee anything like that being an issue in the future. Overall, so people probably have questions. If you've been watching the media and trying to figure out, okay, is there going to be a housing market crash? Is there going to be a recession? It can be jolting, but the thing to keep in mind is that we're in a very insulated area here in San Francisco. So the Bay Area, we've got a peninsula, we have water surrounding us, limited housing. We actually have a housing shortage, beautiful weather, mountains, beach, wine country. We've got it all. So this is a very desirable area. As a result, appreciation averages are much higher than the rest of the country, and no amount of recessions or market crashes can affect us the way they do the rest of the US. So on average, we see about a 9% appreciation rate of return in the Bay Area. What I wanted to show you next is that one specific example of a home that was purchased for 1.6 in 2018. And you'll notice on this side of the graph, in 2023, it was actually sold for 2.2 million. So in this particular zip code in the peninsula, San Mateo County, the school districts are amazing, and just so happens that they saw a 46% appreciation in just 5 years. So this is what I wanted to share with everyone, and I'm happy to email this out. I can offer a market report for both San Francisco as well as San Mateo County, and it's really nice. It'll break it down by neighborhood, and let's see if we can kind of flip through here. So kind of the overall message I want everyone to understand is, the rates right now are one of the reasons that people may or may not be looking for a home. 6.5% is actually the national average right now. But we had 3.5% last year. So what's important to realize is that we're probably never going to see rates like that again. This is actually the best way to stabilize the housing market. And I can tell you from experience, I had clients that were bidding $600,000 over asking last January in San Carlos, and we weren't even making the top 5. So this has certainly helped the market to correct itself. And again, happy to email this report out. Breaks down single family home as well as condominiums. Okay, so sorry, guys. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna edit this out.